Uncle Ron stuff. Today's topic is working with Google Search Console. Okay, so you have created a website, you have submitted it to the URL of the home page to Google Search Console. You have to do that. Well, Google will eventually find any website you put up. Again, the fact that you have a website on a server somewhere doesn't mean that it is available to any of the search engines, or any of your content will be found via a search engine. Like if you type in your name, it may not even come up even though your name is all over your website. Okay, it is on the internet. If you give somebody the URLs for your home page, they can type it in and they'll get to your website, but they won't necessarily find it on a search engine until you submit that website to the search engine. Search engine will eventually find your site. But, okay. So what I'm going to do is in the next couple, I'm going to make some clips where I'm going to work on the Google Search Console, cleaning up various errors. And let me explain to you one of the things that I found. What is Google doesn't like duplicate pages. Okay. Well, what is a duplicate page? You say, I couldn't have done any duplicate pages anywhere. It's based on content. And let me explain. A URL that's like www.ronstoltz has the same content as Ron Stoltz, or has the same content as www.ronstoltz/KN, and that's a different page than Ron Stoltz/k. URLs are case sensitive. So anytime you have a folder, or you change the name of a folder, anything that you do to your website, you delete a page, it's all fine and dandy until you put it into a search engine. And then search engines cache pages. So the problem is, if you're working on a website and you have it published already to a search engine like Google or Bing or something else, you wind up with this massive tangle of old URLs that really aren't in your website anymore, but are still in the cache of search engines. And it's confusing and considered duplicate for them. www.ronstoltz.com is a duplicate of ronstoltz.com, or any variations thereof. Now, HTTP and HTTPS should be handled automatically by your server. Shouldn't be a problem. But when I played with my website, I did not realize the caching issue, and I made a lot of changes to a lot of things, including folder names, as well as the names of specific pages. I shortened them up, all that sort of thing. My website looks fine if I go directly to the URL, but in Google search, it really hasn't even been indexed properly yet because there's so many errors. Google finds duplicates, and the duplicates are all left over from when I published changes to the website. Google either found it in a new crawl it did itself, or in my stupidity I asked for a reindex and it found the old cache pages and preferred those over my new pages, or there's all sorts of reasons. And that's what I'm going to show you to do. Now I've made the worst possible mess, so you can't go wrong by watching this one, because you can't have screwed any website up worse than I did. I have. I'm in the process of untangling it right now. And it's probably more work than getting the website straightened out to start with. But without ado, I'm going to go ahead and start recording what I do on Google Search Console to try to get my website clean enough so Google can index the real website as opposed to mixing in all these old cache pages. And no matter how many times you request an index, the crawler might not index a page. I have pages that I can see have not been crawled since October of last year. That's October, November, December, January, February, in 6 months. Pages that are still in cache that have not been recrawled, and Google still considers them valid pages and valid content when they don't even exist on my website anymore. Enough of that. This will be the first part of it. Okay, here I am at Google Search Console, and you see up here I had to actually go to I have a bookmark. It is Google Search Console, and it will come up like this. And this is where you go to straighten out messes in your website. Now over here is that is the domain name for me, and these are various subfolders underneath of that, but I'll stick at the domain name. And you have down here under indexing, I'm going to click on pages, and this will come up and say I have 574 index pages according to Google Search Console, and 2,406 pages that have not been indexed. And most of those do not exist. They're cache pages. And there's a little graph saying, look, I got a bunch of junk in here. And this will tell you why. Right here first is these are what Google considers to be index pages. And you'll see them here. And on any of these pages, and I'll go back to pages, these are the reasons the pages are indexed. Duplicate without user conical, not found, page with redirect, alternate page with proper conical tag, redirect error, crawled, not indexed, duplicate, Google shows different conical user. Each one of these, and here's the number of pages it found in each one of those categories. Okay, these are no good, bad stuff. Okay, there's a lot of different ways you can approach cleaning this up. You're definitely not on Google search if you've got all these sorts of kind of errors. So what I was working on, and you could start anywhere if you want, but I will click on currently crawled but not indexed. It's going to come up here. Okay, and it says there are over 1,000 pages that have been crawled but currently not indexed. If I look down here, and here's the examples. One thing you can do is click on the last crawled, and it'll sort it by date, and you see this particular link was last crawled on the 16th of September. That's been 8 months ago, and you see all these others. So they've not been recrawled, and all of these no longer exist. They did it one time, but I eliminated that. So what you normally do, and I'll show you what you can do, I know it doesn't exist, so I'm going to copy the URL. Stop it. I copy the URL, it says it's been clipped, and I come down to removals, and then I can issue a new request. I can put in that URL that I copied, and I want Google to block that URL, and I hit next. And then I do a submit. And it'll tell me, in this case, I've already requested a block on that URL. That's why I say in a duplicate request. Blocks last for 90 days. When they recrawl, they'll realize this page does not exist anywhere. Okay, or the page that I showed you, it doesn't exist. So I go back to pages, and that's how you will remove pages that do not exist anymore. Here is back to this one. I can click on last index, and you only get 10 to start with and move to the bottom. You can put 500, and then because there's more than 500 here, I'd come down to the bottom and say I want them all. Then I can come back to the top and I can say I want to see them as to when they were last crawled. Oop. Now this is showing 1,000. That one was 16 September. I already dealt with that one. The other thing you can do, which is interesting, is this little guy. You can set a filter, and I'm going to filter on URLs. And over here you can click this guy. It'll click does not contain. So I'm going to filter by URLs, and I don't want to see any that has a prefix of www on it. I've already taken care of those by deletes. So now I'm looking only at URLs that might have once upon a time been. I did publish this at one time. It looked like this, but that is no longer in my website. I changed these words to lowercase. So that one, if I were to try to delete it, it would already show I have a request outstanding for that. So I'll come down some and see if I can find one. Here's one. I think I probably have deleted, but we'll find out. I'll copy the URL. And unfortunately, you have to go to removals. I click that. I enter a new request. I paste it. And I hit next and submit. And it was a duplicate. I've already done that page. Back to pages again. You see this is a laborious effort. On this, I'm back to this one, crawl but not browse. I will come down and do filter again by URL. Does not contain www. You see it automatically found those. Now I'm going to go down here and put 500 in. I don't know if there are 500 of them. No, there are only 409 of those that do not have www as a prefix over here, and I think I've taken most of those out. Whether I've taken most of these out or not, I don't know. Here's one. Let's try this one. Maybe I've taken them all out at this point, or requested that they be taken all out. I've copied it. I go to removals. I do a new request. I enter it in here. I paste, and I submit it. That one was not a duplicate. I have never told Google to eliminate that URL from anywhere, like it's cache, for example. Okay, other things you can do. I go back to pages again. Now this time I'm going to go look at data on index pages. These supposedly have been indexed. Some of these may be correct. Some of these may be incorrect. Here's an example. I wound up changing to capital K instead of little k. Well, it sees that case sensitive. I can have this guy in another format with a capital K, and it will consider that and this other identical one except for the K to be duplicate pages. So you got to get out the bad one and leave the good one. Now I've probably already removed this one, so I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to look farther down the page And I'm going to list, I don't know how many there are. Let's see, I come down to here. There's 574 total of what it considered index pages. Now here this is where I'll have to look. Now this is a valid index. That is correct for my current website. This one is not, neither is this one, because I have capital W here and I got rid of that. This is correct. This is incorrect. I've cleaned a lot of these up. All I'm trying to show you is, here's, I don't know if, this one should be true. So one of the things you can do, you can come over here and you click this button, and what it's going to do, it's going to test whether that URL can be seen by Google. And it can, because it says right here, URL is on Google. Now you can request a reindex at that point if you want to. I'm not going to. I'm going to go back to the pages. And unfortunately, this is such a laborious sort of process because you have to go from one area to another. But what I'm trying to show you is how you deal with Google Search Console to clean up a massive tangle of URLs that are either broken, missing, or duplicates. So I'm back on index pages, and if I look down through here, I know this is a bad page. Let me show you what happens if I do this. I know that page. I'm gonna check it. It says URL is on in Google, okay? But this is a bad page because I use capital D now. So if I do a live test, it says it is on Google. Now, I don't know why this page says it's there because it shouldn't be. If I could click, my mouse is acting funny. If I do a Google index, it says it can appear in Google research. Again, I've gone over a capital D's, so this page should not exist. I can come down here and click on index, re-index that page, and it should not find it. Okay. Again, back to pages. I go back to my index pages. If I look down through, I'll see some that do not belong. It should not be indexed. This page, for instance, should not be indexed in the index because it no longer exists. If I check on it and do the check if it's real, it says it is. Testing live URL. I want to re-index that because that does not no longer exist. Now you're only entitled to do so many live tests and so many re-indexes per day. There's a limitation on that. But again, and down here obviously is where you show the sitemap that you've submitted, and I need to submit a new one. My last was January 25. As a side issue, sitemap is not going to force Google search to crawl your website again using a sitemap. That's not that doesn't work that way. So I've given you kind of an overview here. URL inspection, you can inspect any one of these things. I'll do images because that is no longer, doesn't exist on my current website. It says not on Google. I will live test it. It should come up and say it doesn't, see, it's not available. That has finally gone. I have erased everything associated with that particular URL out of Google. Okay, that's what you're trying to get to. So I'm going to create a new sitemap, and I have a program that does that, and I'm going to submit my new sitemap. I've given you sort of an overview of, and here is an overview, and I don't have any web hits because my site is not currently indexed. Now it shows I have currently, right now, I have 574 index pages. Now if I look at my sitemap, which is valid, there should be 648 true URL pages in my website, and that is the actual website. So this is true. I have run checks on this. This sitemap is showing the correct URLs for all of the web pages in my website. There are like 2,000 images as well, but these are pages, okay? So I have yet to get a proper indexing on, if I come back to performance, it'll say that I have no pages showing up under performance. Pages again. Shows 574, some of which are right, some of which are wrong. I got to do all the clean out. I got to get all that stuff out of the old cache that Google keeps of a particular shot. Once it crawls, it keeps, and if it can index it or doesn't, it keeps a cache picture of that site. And then you have to work to get it out if it's not the right one you want. That's enough of this. I've given you an idea of how to work with Google Console. I'm going to create a new sitemap and submit it. That's it for today, and I'm going to go back to here and end.